A bit of fun then. What's the worst thing that a client's ever asked you to do? Everyone's seen clients from hell and some of the stupid requests you get. One of our favourites that John had several years ago was the client asked, could you move this image half a pixel to the left?
Half a pixel?
Half a pixel.
Brilliant.
So that's and the other one, probably the most common one is, can you make our logo bigger? But you must have had some crackers as well.
Yeah, I think I quite enjoy when people go, would you be worried about working with, and then they say an industry, and that always makes me laugh because sort of I'm not unscrupulous. In fact, I've got quite a lot of scruples when it comes to some things, but you know, if someone said, you know, in fact I'm not going to go where I wouldn't go, but basically I'm pretty liberal, and if you were taking sort of, you know, would you work for the Westboro Baptist Church? Probably not.
Okay.
Depending on how much they're paying. No, I'm kidding. I mean, definitely not. Like, but you know, and I think that I quite enjoy that sort of stuff. I think you know, if you've got a client that's a little bit more edgy, that's quite fun as well. Yeah, I've been on some really dumb things. I think it's mostly my biggest irritation is there's the could you just.
Yeah.
Because it's always massive scope creep, and it's always sort of. Sometimes it's irritating, sometimes it's absolutely fine, but could you just is a pain in the arse. Yeah, there's God, I'm just trying to think of some good ones. There is obviously the generic. I think people just like making their stamp on stuff, right? And you've got to realise who you're working with and what they're like with that kind of stuff. And there are some people that I've worked with in the past, some that really like just making a mark, just sort of. No matter how good you do something,
that'll let you run with it and they trust you to do it.
Do you know what, those are
some that
I find it's usually again with I think with client work in general, when you're working with someone that's not managing, that has a budget but they're not managing the company budget, they're usually the best to work with because it's not their money. They don't have to check a bank account. It's just they just sign it off and they're done. And they just want the work done. They just want it out there. And they might change something. Could you make this slightly more on brand? Could you do this? Could you test? You know, and that's absolutely fine. I think often if you're working with someone that's sort of controlling the purse strings, it's their money that's coming out. They really want to micro control what's going on. They want to get the most of their money, and that's totally understandable. But it can be quite frustrating, I think, at times. But yeah, it's like I read this great story the other day about a chess game, like a 3D chess game that was developed in San Francisco 10 years ago or something. And they developed it, and the Queen had a kind of little duck or something that was next to her, and as she moved around the board, the duck kind of waddled around after her. And when they showed it to their boss was like, I love it, everything about it is great, get rid of the duck. And they knew the duck, they put the duck there just for that reason, because they knew he was going to have to put his stamp on something, so to get rid of the duck was, you know, like a line of code. I thought that's great. I think that sums it up properly, you know, absolutely as best as it possibly can be. Some people just like to, you know, get rid of the duck. And that's.
So do you build ducks into some of your things now? Now that you're aware of this, are you going to do that?
It depends who the client is, and I think certainly when you talk to some clients, you think they're going to want to change something on this. And I think once you send over something and say, how are your thoughts on this? What are you thinking? And depending on what they come back with at that point, depends on, you know, what you're going to do for that sort of stuff. And it might be, but I think ultimately, just try and do the best thing you possibly can straight away and get it over with. But I'm quite happy to. It's again, working for yourself. It's nice to be in the position where you can fight with someone if you want to, and you can say it's a really dumb idea what you're doing. But then you only have so much fight. You know, there's a point. I'm quite happy to fight with people about particular stuff like landing pages, and you think you want a landing page for this, and you're recommending this is the way you should be doing it. This is going to make the most sense. And someone comes back to you and says, we need to move this here and move that here, and we need to put this, and we need some more links to this and this, and you're like, okay, you're totally defeating the purpose of what you're trying to achieve here. So, you know, wind it back and let me explain to you why. You can only fight with someone so much before you go, do you know what, you're paying the bills, I'm quite happy, let's just make it and we'll get on with it.
Any thoughts on where the industry might be heading?
So internet marketing in general, I think everything's going to roll into, it's been happening the last few years. You must have seen this as, you know, doing what you guys do.
Yeah.
Like, I think everything's coming under a generic PR roof.
Less so PR from our point of view. I think we're subsuming PR.
That's what I mean. Sorry, they're all coming in together
Yeah.
into one sort of fold, as it were. Like, I think PR are realising, offline PR are realising that they need online, and
Yes,
like generic
definitely,
SEO companies are realising that having someone that's a little bit more, you know, lunches and phone calls is really good for them as well. And I think kind of that whole world is merging. I think, you know, the development design world, I mean, it's not going anywhere. I think there are some amazing tools out there. When I started doing this, you know, WordPress hadn't been sort of conceived at that point. And you think now, if you want to set up a website, you want to set up a blog, you can register a domain for about £8, and you can get hosting for absolute peanuts.
Yeah.
And you can set up a WordPress blog. You can put a free Cloudflare sort of thing to cope with your traffic, and you can just set up and run. And it's like, you know, the barrier for entry on any of this is really low. I suppose that's kind of why I've been doing a lot more content work than development design work, because unless someone wants something really specific, unless they're trying to do something, they just download a theme and they just reskin the theme and get on with it.
Okay, well, I think we're going to have to wrap this up now. As fun as it's been, thank you very much, Ben.
Thanks very much for having me.
Anytime. Maybe we'll have you back soon.
For drinks, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because we're out now, so...
Let's go and get a pint now.
Let's do it.